Welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. This is Moose along with Mays and Matthews. We are presented by Comcast Business, introducing ultimate speed for business, the fastest internet plans yet from Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Also sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. More on that later when we see the line, because there is some golf to talk about this week with the Wyndham Championship. And also All Access. Speaking about travels, speaking about golf travels, this ties right into our next guest, who we welcome back to the program. It's always good when a guest comes back on. It means we didn't do anything, too stupid, which is good. The great Brad Faxon, NBC sports analyst. Oh, also 8-time winner on the PGA Tour, Payne Stewart Award recipient. Three-time leader in putting average on tour. Just some of the accolades. Welcome back to Swing It and Ding It, Brad. How's it going, man?
It's going great. I got back Monday night from 3 weeks abroad. Flew back from Paris on Monday and had such a spectacular time at the Olympics. My first time being there in person and being able to see what all these different athletes go through and the pressure that they all have. When it comes down to do whatever sport they're doing, I just can't imagine what goes through their mind when they might have 30 seconds or a minute and a half to go for the qualifying or for the medals. It was terrific.
That's awesome. Well, obviously, we're going to get into a lot of the Olympic golf. We're going to talk about Scotty, but just curious, what was the coolest thing that you saw outside of the game of golf in the Olympics? Like, what's the one memory that sticks with you from Paris that doesn't have to do with the game of golf?
Well, I've been doing this work the last few years with NBC and Dan Hicks, who is I think a legend behind the microphone. And he, if you follow sports enough to know that he's been doing swimming at the Olympics for a long, long time now. I think since 1996, maybe. He worked with Rowdy Gaines and did all the Michael Phelps calls. And he was doing the swimming again this year. And I got to go to the stadium where it's a concert venue that holds 15,000 people. And a month and a half ago, Taylor Swift played a couple shows there. And then right after she left, they engineered it into a swimming venue, and they built two 50-meter swimming pools inside with stands for 13,000 people. And wow. We got to go to a few of the races, and this guy, Leon Marchand, the Frenchman, who kind of captivated the Olympics for the French and won 4 golds. We got to see his 4th gold medal swim and a couple other races. It was so cool to see that. President Macron, I don't even know how to say his name with the accent. He showed up, and he did the 200-meter medley. And every time, when they go down and swim 50 meters and then they switch, when he switched to breaststroke and his head bobbed out of the water, there was this huge roar every time his head came out. And then, wow. He finished off with freestyle. And as he got the lead and then started gaining on the lead, that the crowd was up. It was giant. I think they were probably yelling louder than they were for Taylor Swift.
That's pretty loud.
Yeah. Amazing.
Wow.
That was something I experienced in person that I didn't think I'd see. Michael Phelps came up into our tower. And one of the funny stories is we were on top of the grandstands behind the 18th green. And we were 65 to 70 feet above the level of the green, where that ferocious finishing hole was. And Michael Phelps is afraid of height. and he came up there and he was like, he was out of gas. He was like, this isn't something I like. I'm sweating. I'm nervous. I had to hold on to the handrail. I couldn't look down. But he sat with us for about 10 minutes and he loves the game of golf. And he knows the game of golf. He singly could have carried the broadcast for the rest of the day.
Wow.
He knows the players. He's played with a lot of the top players. But to have Phelps, who's won 28 medals and 23 golds,
wow.
golds, it was pretty neat to see him up there.
Yeah, and he shared some really fun stories for you. The main reason he came up was to wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, that was exactly.
Yeah. Happy belated birthday.
I thought, when you watch Michael Phelps dominate back in 2004, 8, maybe 12, he's only got one world record left. Everybody keeps getting better.
Oh, yeah.
and the depth of talent, the depth of the field. It's just incredible.
It's just like golf. Talking about athletes, you said Michael Phelps could have carried the broadcast. Paul Judah, also a self-proclaimed golf fanatic. You had some time with him. He also came by the booth, right?
He did. He came up. He had won the bronze medal. No, I'm sorry. Helped the team won. Yeah, the bronze medal.
The all around, yeah.
In the all around, and he was you call it the pommel horse.
Yeah. And that video's on Brad's social. If you look at it, I mean, if you didn't see on the Olympic, insane. What an athlete.
No, I bet he's 5'6" or 5'7". I think it says in his bio he's 5'8". No chance. And he's in Ann Arbor. He's finishing his last year of school. He was so well spoken, so thoughtful, and he still can't believe that he won a medal. And he brought the bronze medal up, and a couple things that you wouldn't know is how heavy they are. What it feels like. And for the gold medals, what I didn't know, in the very front, the small, I don't know if it's a building or whatever it was they showed in there, it's from old pieces of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh,
no
wow.
way.
They took pieces from the Eiffel Tower.
That's so cool.
And
Like the Paris thing, like that right there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's from Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Very
That's
cool.
wild.
Well, it's nice to know I have two things in common with Michael Phelps. We both love the game of golf, and we're both scared of heights. So that's good to know. But Brad, as a guy who's has played in major championships, Ryder Cups, you've covered those events as a broadcaster as well. Give me a sense of where this compares, it being your first Olympics, but the golf in general. I know the scene at the 18th was, that amphitheater was something to behold, especially when Victor Perez gave him some things to cheer about. But give me a sense of how this compares to the other big events that you've witnessed and played in golf.
It was amazing how this week evolved for golf. And I would say when the Olympic Committee, IOC, reintroduced golf back to the Olympics in 2016 in Rio, I was lukewarm, as were some of the players. Rory, for sure. Like, nobody was sure if this was going to, take on what it was going to be like after the 100-year absence or so. And when Justin Rose won that down there, and Matt Kuchar, the American cat, he got the bronze, and how they carried these around and how they celebrated with it. I think that kind of made a lot of the players that were unsure, like, oh, this could be cool. And then as it went on and they went to Japan, COVID 2021, no spectators. I don't think anybody was really sure, is this the right thing to do? And then Rory McIlroy, who lost in that 7-man playoff for the bronze, said it was the hardest he'd ever tried in anything in his life. And then, fast forward to 2024 to the Golf National, which was the Ryder Cup course from 2018. And the Europeans had 5 members of that team playing in the Olympics. The Americans had none, which was remarkable.
Yeah.
But what was eerie about it in a way was we were all trying to figure out, because it was a huge setup with those grandstands, not quite as big as the Ryder Cup, but is this really going to be something people are going to come out to see? And there were no spectators allowed on the grounds Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And a number of players had come over early for opening ceremonies, had done some practice. And the gates opened Thursday, and it was 30,000 tickets sold. And it was mobbed. It was a mob scene, like a Ryder Cup. The first tee, kind of an amphitheater. I think it caught all the players by surprise. And, as the week went on, it was interesting to see so many of the top players talk about how nervous they were, how excited they were with the crowds, and the Europeans were well represented with all the different countries over there. To see everyone show up with the flags, paint on their faces, and the players got into it. And then how it unfolded on Sunday, it was the greatest event I've ever been part of.
Wow. And let's talk about that right on Sunday. First of all, is there any lead that's safe from Scotty Scheffler? And can you kind of talk about what we're seeing right now with this guy? I mean, a final round 62, he starts 4 back. At one point, he's 6 back. What are we witnessing with a guy like Scotty Scheffler right now?
Honestly, at the turn, with Rahm playing like he did, and thinking how much he has to prove. Rahm, surprisingly leaving for Live Golf. He's been disgruntled out there. He hasn't played particularly well until the last few weeks, where he actually finished in the top 10 3 times in a row before winning the week before the Olympics. You were like, maybe Rahm made a mistake. What can make up for the hundreds of millions of dollars that he took to be miserable? And now you see him in the lead, and you're like, this looks like Rahm when he won at Torrey Pines, or Rahm when he won at the Masters. And, Scheffler started off with 3 straight birdies, but then he kind of calmed down, made 6 pars in a row. But other things were happening there that were kind of cool. Victor Perez,
Oh yeah,
and Matthew Pavon, the 2 Frenchmen that were in the Olympics, they were celebrated. And Perez, with his birdie on the last hole on Saturday, and then his good start to the round on Sunday. And we were looking at this leaderboard going, this is an unbelievable leaderboard. Schauffele, who has looked unbeatable the last couple of months and turned the corner with the win at the PGA. You're thinking, if he wins the gold, there's a real conversation for who's player of the year. We never thought that was going to be part of it. Hideki Matsuyama, who had just missed out in that playoff McIlroy did in Japan, had been playing some superb golf. And you're thinking, this is amazing. Now McIlroy starts to play good. He's made 6 birdies, and you're thinking, this is an unbelievable leaderboard, and what's going to happen down the stretch. And then I think that one of the biggest crowd favorites, and who played so well at the Ryder Cup in 2018, was Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
And the Europeans were really well represented, and it was captivating. And I would say that the worst part about that, and this won't mean a lot to the average golf fan, but NBC, who airs it, they own a Golf Channel, of course, they don't produce it. It's produced by, I don't know if you call it a world feed, or by the International Golf Federation. So the broadcast was a little bit spotty. They weren't in a hurry to show all the shots like we always do. So I think we could have done it better. And maybe in LA, they let NBC produce instead of the International Golf Federation. But it was so captivating to see, the crashing burns of what happened all of a sudden. Rahm starting to hit all these shots to the left. Xander all of a sudden making bogeys and double bogeys. Rory hitting that shot in the water on 15. And it seemed to be all happening at once. And in the meantime, Scotty Scheffler started doing Scotty Scheffler thing. And that shot he hit into 15 over the water. I have the women's golf on now, and they're playing the same course, of course, and it looks a little bit sort of like a Harbor Town course with all the Pete Dye looking, the bulkheads and everything. There's some real captivating holes, and I think golf television looks better when you see players that are either making birdies or double bogeys. It works well.
Yeah. Well, Brad, a nice, change to the professional landscape with these guys competing for their country and not for a person. We saw a weeping Scotty Scheffler when they're playing the national anthem, draping the flag over his shoulders and, hand on his chest. Talk about that emotion and what you saw and how the fans were reacting.
Yeah, I said it on the air that, when I was growing up, I had a grandfather and a father that served in the military, and always, you saluted the flag. Growing up, we said the Pledge of Allegiance in school, in elementary school, and the respect or the pride you had for the country was always really, really the utmost. And, Scotty Scheffler's been the best player in the world for now close to 3 years, and he doesn't give you much, right? He's very nice. He's very organized, but he doesn't show a lot of emotion. And to see him like break down there, you're finally like, oh, this makes me love him more, because, I get chills watching that every time you see any of the athletes on the podium and what they've worked for and what this means to them. But this, Rory said after this that he's never been part of something quite like it. So to think about the best players in the world not playing for a nickel, right? They're not playing for anything but 3 spots. You have 60 players in there, and you could argue that the field could be stronger, but it's a good representation of the rest of the world and how hard these players were playing to try and medal. It was sensational. And to think about what it could be like back in 2028 to America, to Riviera, of course, everybody knows how cool it will be and how hard these players are going to try to get in into the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
You said Scotty's emotion. We also saw that, that fist pump when he hold that putt too. We were seeing a little more emotion, which is funny because, like you said, playing for the pride of his country instead of a purse.
Yeah, he birdied the 17th hole on Sunday, which had only been birdied twice all day long. It was such a long par 4, tough pin placement. He had driven it in the rough and hit a remarkable shot to just get it on the green. And then when he made that, it was incredible. I think an underrated second shot he hit into 18. He had driven it into the rough, kind of a tough decision. Do I go with this flag? How do I play this next shot? And he hoisted it way up in the air, hit it just left of the flag, and almost made a birdie. But he made about a 5-footer for his second putt, which didn't clinch him the gold at the minute, but
put him one up.
It almost assured it. And Tommy Fleetwood, who had a chance on the last hole if he had made a birdie after bogey in 17, he another shot by inches, that if this second shot on 17 had landed a little bit shorter than where it did instead of on the green, he might have had a chance to win gold. But he's hitting his second shot into the green. And I said, this is a situation a golfer's never been in before, where if it's playing for a first place check to win a typical tournament, you go right at this flag, you have to stick it in there to tie. Now this situation is, if he goes at the flag and misses, he could double bogey and not win a medal at all. If he makes a par or even a bogey, he's most likely going to win a silver or a bronze. And what a tough thing to think about and to have to do. And he hit a 6-iron where he probably in any other tournament might have hit a 7-iron. He hit it over the back edge of the green to be safe, and made a fantastic up and down in a putt that he'll never forget. And he could express disappointment because he didn't win the gold. Unlikely birdie on 18, but you think about that emotion to say, number one, hey, look, I'm an Olympian. I made it to the Olympics. If you're in the 60 in the field, but to say you medaled, these guys will be able to capitalize on that for the rest of their lives.
What about medaling and not having to be drafted? That type of emotion, we saw that.
Kim and how much energy they consume during the week to try and win. And his story, being the youngest player in the Olympics, being a Korean where there's that mandatory service that the Koreans have to serve unless they medal, unless they win a major championship. So everybody loves Tom Kim. I think Full Swing brought him out in the second season for sure. And he's so likable. He's almost an underdog because he doesn't hit it that far. He expresses his emotion. The President's Cup really exposed him as being one of those guys you want to watch. And to see him with his caddy, Paul Tesori, break down in the press room, it's on camera. And it's funny, Full Swing wasn't allowed at the Olympics this year. They weren't allowed to get the access. And that would have been a great story for season 3.
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, when John Rahm made birdie at 10, he got to 20 under par. At that point, he was 4 up on Hideki and 6 up on Fleetwood and Scheffler. I sent a text to these two because I was about ready to go out and play golf. I said something like "no drama," and I spelled drama DRAHMA.
It's so good
because John Rahm, he didn't care about our drama. And then I got to give you credit to your partner in crime, Steve Sands, because shortly after Fleetwood made the putt on 11 to get to within 5. He said, we just need Rahm to cool off a touch, but he's not cooperating. And that's when it all went bad for John Rahm. And I thought, man, he gave us drama. Steve Sands.
Yeah, he was so good to work next to. I really love being with Steve. He's actually on the call now for the women as well. And we couldn't ask for a better situation to have that lead evaporate, have the number 1 player in the world and the number 2 and 3, if you count Rory, all in the heat of it. The great stories with Perez. You mentioned Tom Kim, of course. We forgot that. And Fleetwood. Think about that. I can't wait to see what these ratings were, because I told Steve, I said, if I judge how many people are watching an event, your friends text you, other people that are random text you during the broadcast. My phone was off the hook with how great that was. It was a joy to be a part of.
Well, now,
So, Brad,
obviously, oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Jeff.
yeah, I dropped off for a second, but I just came back in. So I looked. The last time you were on, it was July 2022, right? It was before you really jumped
is that the last
into,
time? Wow.
yeah, into the booth, and we love what you're doing. Everyone we talk to loves what you're doing in there. So great work with that. And we know you as being a very prepared person, right, in everything you do, whether it's practicing, whether it's playing. I always wonder, because you made some great calls, how much preparation? I know you do preparation like crazy going into a tournament, but do you ever think about what you're going to say before something happens, or do you kind of just let it happen in the moment?
Always let it happen in the moment. But you think about some of these great calls. Dan Hicks, when Tiger made the putt at Torrey Pines to tie Rocco Mediate on the 72nd hole, and he, expect anything different. Is Jim Nance when Tiger won his first Masters, one for the ages. Do you? I don't have that because I'm not the host.
Right.
And my job has changed a little bit over the last couple of years because I was a hole announcer for NBC along with Kurt Byram, where we covered 5 holes. I followed Gary Koch, and we would have to cover our holes, and we would have the time to introduce the shot, the player, throw it down to the person on the ground, and comment on it afterwards, where Paul Azinger or Johnny Miller would have had the trump card to be able to talk whenever they want. So now that we've kind of changed up the booth a little bit, and we have 2 different analysts, and I've worked with 9 different players this year, analysts, and Kistner, Luke Donald, Brandel Chambly, Bones Mackay, Nota Begay, Peter Jacobson. So now we're supposed to do the whys of golf. As a golfer, why is this a tough shot? Why is this intimidating? Why did he do that? Where our hosts like Steve Sands, they set it up. So I have the ability to be the whole announcer still and set it up, but my job really is almost in a way less notes and more reaction to. So I've got to kind of balance that line between how much I say, because sometimes dead air is better. And when Victor Perez was walking up to the 18th hole, I was about to say something, and Sands slapped me on the arm just to let it play out.
Let it breathe.
And
Yeah.
And you don't have to say anything for 30 seconds. We watched him
Wow.
walk up there. We showed the crowd. We showed all the French flags.
And those 30 seconds sometimes feel like 4 minutes when you're just like, watch it go. Yeah.
And I've asked both Mike Tirico, I've been lucky to work with the last couple of years at some of these events, and Dan Hicks. What were their 2? If you had to think about your greatest moments in this in sport, what were the one? What was the one call that's most memorable to you? And Tirico amazingly said when he was doing football and they were in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina destroyed the city, and they came back to play, and he said he had who did he have with him? Tony Kornheiser and maybe Joe Theismann, and they won the game late, and there was an explosion after the touchdown, and Tirico told the other guys, don't say anything for a minute and a half. All they did was show the replay, the crowd, the sound. And he said that was, after the destruction of the city, he said this was the greatest moment of his career. And I get chills thinking about it right now. And then Dan Hicks said, well, having done all these events with Mike Tirico, and I don't know if you remember the great call, and I think it was 2008, when Jason Lazak was the last leg of the medley, and he was coming back in the freestyle, and they were all there at the finish line, and he came back and won by like 5/100ths of a second, and he called that, and then you saw the reactions from Michael Phelps. He said that was the greatest moment of his career, one single moment. But going back to your question, I don't ever think of one thing I'm going to say in advance.
Love it.
I probably should.
No. We like what you're doing. Well, Brad, we could keep talking about all types of things, but you know me, I'm always going to throw some Philly into the mix. Did you hear the news that a major PGA Tour event is coming to the Philly region?
No, but it's not surprising that the 3 of you would tell me that.
If you had one guess, what course would you think?
Well, first of all, I would say, being a golf nerd and golf course kind of I don't know. I love great golf course architecture. And there's an argument that Philadelphia has the best courses in the country. Now, everybody in the Hamptons will jump up and down and say, wait a minute, the Mets section of New York. But, when you go into the Gap and look at all the great courses there, the history, you could do it at so many places. So is this a PGA Tour event?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to be a major. So it's replacing the Wells Fargo. It's now going to be the Truist
signature event.
Championship.
It's a signature event. Yeah.
Oh,
Because they're having a major
So
at
I
Quail
know-
a
Hollow.
major PGA Tour event. Yeah.
I know Truist was a new title sponsor taken over from Wells. Does that mean Quail Hollow's out?
They're hosting the PGA for that year. So then it goes
Just
back
1
to
year.
Quail Hollow.
Just a 1 year thing.
Oh, so it's only in Philly for a year. Okay.
Yes. Next year.
What course could be? I would think it has to be Aronimink.
Nope. We'll give you one other guess before we tell you.
Because Aronimink has the PGA Championship in 26, I believe. So
Yes.
Okay, there's my bad.
We're putting you on the spot here.
You seen this course on television before?
Mm-hmm.
We have
Well, then it's Marion.
Philly Cricket.
Cricket. They've had a senior event there and some U.S. amateur stuff.
Yeah, great course. And that renovation, Keith Foster, the architect, did a renovation there. I thought it was sensational. Yep.
love Philly cricket.
So hopefully you're covering that event for us. I'm sure
Be
the
nice.
three of us will all hopefully be there. But Brad, Pine Valley, we like to say it's a Philly course, even though it's in Jersey. We know that's your second home. You live there. We always talk about Philly courses. Talk a little bit about, like you said, that it's arguably one of the best areas for golf. Talk about the courses in Philly and what you think about them. Highlight maybe one or two of your favorites.
Well, you could start at Marion, the history there. Hugh Wilson, the founder, and he kind of partnered with the founder, George Crump, at Pine Valley. About the same time they were built, and two guys that had really never done golf courses that captained all this and how they did it. I played in the U.S. Open at Marion in 1981 when I was an amateur. I was 19 years old.
Wow.
Maybe the most memorable thing of my life, getting to qualify. I was in college at Furman. I had just come back from the, I don't know even how I qualified. I think I did it in New Jersey at Canoe Brook, which is another great course. But to stand on that first tee, my 9-ish a.m. tee time, I was sandwiched between, we were a filler group between Jack Nicklaus, who was in the group in front with Hal Sutton, defending U.S. amateur champion, and behind us was Arnold Palmer.
Wow.
And the crowds, how small Marion is, and to see that. And I had a Philly native named Charlie Bowling, who had grown up at Gulf Mills. He was caddying for me. And after I hit my 3-wood off the first tee, he goes, "I've never seen this before." I go, "What?" And I piped it down the middle. He said, "I saw your heart beating through your shirt." And I'll take a minute because I birdied the first 2 holes on Thursday morning. And they had, like they still do now, the hand signed leaderboards, no computers, of course. And it said Faxon, Miller, Nicholas, and Palmer. And I never got a picture of that leaderboard.
Oh,
You have the mental picture though, which is
right.
far superior.
2 under after 2, leading U.S. Open. The greatest day of my life, really.
Wow.
To play there at that age. I knew the history of the playoff, the last time it was played between Trevino and Nicholas, the Rubber Snake.
Mm-hmm.
And I had played in the Hugh Wilson Invitational at Marion with another Rhode Island guy that we won that tournament. So I'm on the burgundy in the locker room, on the paint rather, on the wall. I have such good feelings for all those courses there, and I've been a member at Pine Valley since 2005. I'm excited for Philly. Philly cricket might have one of the best logos in the game of golf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I've played the little 9-hole course, and I can't even pronounce it. Wishkahashan. How do I do?
Wissahickon.
Wissahickon. Yeah, Wissahickon. Yeah.
I walked around there with Michael Bamberger.
Militia Hill is the
Yeah.
We have to do something like that on the pod one day. Hold it up and
Yeah.
have them, our guests try to pronounce the
all the
words.
words.
Yeah, St.
Yeah,
Martin's is the
Concha
old
Hawken.
9.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
St. Martin's. Yeah.
Michael Bamberger, one of his first books, maybe his first book, The Green Road Home, was my caddy when he started writing that book at the Honda Classic back in 1985. and we became friendly then. And I was a big Sports Illustrated guy where he ended up working for a long time, but good ties back to Philly.
I need to cause a little drama. Brad, you have to settle the debate. Can Philly claim PV?
Yes, no question about it.
Done. You heard it from Brad Faxon. Pine Valley is a Philly course.
That's awesome.
We've had
it's in the gap.
Some of the greatest amateur golfers that have ever played the game. My captain in the Walker Cup, Jay Siegel, Buddy Marucci, of course, who's still so close to so many of the players. Multi-captain there, great player. I mean, I can't even start to think of all the other great amateur golfers from there, but
Brad's an honorary Philly golfer. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He's an honorary Birds fan too. He likes the flag hanging across from his neighbor's house.
God, yeah, every time Danielle comes into the house and I see that Philly Eagles sticker on her bumper, and then now my neighbor across the house is flying the flag. I didn't know we were allowed to do that here.
Yeah, he's like, this has got to be an HOA violation or something. I was like, you love it. This is the Eagles have become Brad's B team.
Okay, good.
Okay. Well, one last one from me while we're on architecture. The PGA Tour wraps up their regular season at Sedgefield, which is a Donald Ross Classic. And I'm just curious, do you have any experience playing Sedgefield? And if so, what are the guys looking for this week?
Yeah, I do have experience there. I was still playing when the tour moved from Forest Oaks to there, and they had just done a nice renovation on a classic course. And it's a tough time of year to play in Greensboro with the heat, and you don't really see it firm and fast and too difficult. 17 Olympians are playing this week, and they're very nervous right now because this storm's heading their way. And I think on Thursday, Friday, there could be a big impact as they're expecting. I've heard sometime like 5 to 7 inches of rain on an important event, right? This is the last qualifying event for the FedEx Cup to get into the top 70. There's a lot of players there that need to play well. And it's a tournament that I like because it doesn't favor just a bomber. That they have thick rough there, that Bermuda grass. If you miss a fairway, the ball goes down. They've got some short, very birdieable holes, and then they got some really, really difficult holes, which always lends best for television. And I went to school in South Carolina, Furman, played a little bit, in North and South Carolina throughout my college career. So I have a good appreciation for what's there.
Awesome. Well, listen, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming back on. Happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you.
Is there anything like the Amalfi Coast, by the way?
I should let my wife come over here and tell you. Italian. There really isn't.
It's unbelievable.
What a place, and to be able to go there and have somebody that speaks fluently and I don't know, I could have that linguine alla vongole every day.
No doubt about it.
Dory is fluent in Italian, so she can just communicate for everybody. And
that's amazing.
4 more Aperol Spritz.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for coming back on. Love what you're doing. Continued success, and we will talk again soon, Brad. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, but just let's not make it 2 more years before I jump on again with you.
Wait, good. Brad, one more question. If we can have some guest that should be on here, who should we have on next?
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
You got a number?
Yeah. Can you text him for us?
Oh, boy.
I'll slide into his DMs.
Right.
From Brad's account.
You guys do a great job. Fantastic.
Thank you, Brad. Talk soon. All right, let's take a quick break and we will be right back. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Always great to have the great Brad Faxon on. I mean, he's doing such a good job on the broadcast. He's so just relatable. He's, you could tell he's a student of not only the golf game, but of the broadcasting game. He's listening to other people, knowing when to let it breathe, and just a wealth of knowledge. And from what he said, just an incredible experience at the Olympics, which was great. I mean, Sunday was wild, right? Yeah. From when you sent that text to what happened with so many guys that had a chance, and to see how much those guys really wanted it. was awesome to watch. But when Scotty Scheffler is coming up behind you and playing well, it has to be the most uncomfortable feeling in the game of golf. Shoots a final round 62. He started 4 back, as I mentioned. He was 6 back at one point. He birdies 5 of the 6, matches the course record, and just takes it. Just took it from everybody. There's nothing else you could say about it. He just took it from everyone else.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you talk about how badly these guys wanted it. It was evident. I mean, where else are you going to see a guy like Jon Rahm, go from 20 under par to shooting 5 over the final 7 holes, and finish off the podium altogether. You saw Xander Schauffele, who is in the last couple of months, might be the best player in the world right now. Missing fairways all over the place. He trailed Rahm by 3 shots with 7 holes to play, and then makes bogey at 12, bogey at 13, only pars the par 5 14th hole, and makes a bogey on 15, shot 73. He barely made the top 10. And we talk about Rory McIlroy. I restrained myself from asking Brad about what happened from 131 yards away in the fairway after he birdied 5 straight holes. He was right there at 17 under par, which is what Matsuyama ended up finishing for the bronze medal. He could have easily medaled, and he put it in the water from 130 yards. That's pressure. And it just goes to show that how badly those players wanted to win a medal.
No doubt.
We heard Brad recap Scotty's, 17th shot, that shot from the rough, and then showing that emotion, putting that in. But like you said, seeing that, Scotty's name coming on that leaderboard, knowing that's happening, you just really, you can't control those nerves or anything. But one of the things I wanted to highlight was the Victor Perez and just that local support. It was kind of hard to tell from TV, but when you were watching the clips, Brad was sending some behind the scene things, the flags, the people there, the roars, the sound. Like, he sent this one video, you couldn't even hear anything but people screaming for them. So that's wild that we didn't see him place, but a lot of local support. It was pretty cool to watch.
I'm glad he mentioned too the production, because it did seem off, and I couldn't it was a little bit delayed with the applause, right? You could tell that it just wasn't a typical, NBC or CBS broadcast. Those guys did a great job, but you could tell something was off. But it was interesting to know that they didn't actually produce the event.
Yeah, that was a great thing that he highlighted, because you get so many people sitting at home and saying, like, what are you doing? Or show more golf, or show this. And they think that it's Brad or Steve's fault or something. It's like, we're given the play-by-play of what we're seeing, and they have so much to worry about. They're not producing it. There's an entire team. So, it just shows what's going on behind the scenes and the lack of control. But he did highlight that hopefully NBC will be able to produce it at the next
Riviera.
Yeah, I thought Hideki was going to do it. Man, he is such a gamer. He is a big time player, and think about that. And I texted it to you guys. Like, imagine if he had won a green jacket and a gold medal. Yeah. I mean, Japan, they'd have parades for him. I mean,
statues erected on every corner.
I mean, Fleetwood too, man. I mean, he was
fun
right
to
there.
watch. I was enjoying it.
I like Tommy. Yeah,
I do too. And just watching, like, I think they said, like, Scotty's dad was like, Scotty, go to the range and warm up. You might have a playoff. So watching that, like, like you said, like the drama. Well,
another win on the range. Another win on the range for Scotty.
There, he's on his phone. He's like hitting a shot or two, but like just waiting to see if you have to go into a playoff for gold. Like, me watching that, and then watching like Tommy, and then going back to the shot, of Scotty on the range. I was like, it was just fun. It was really enjoyable to watch, and a nice switch up from the general golf that we've been seeing.
Yeah, and it was. There was a lot of discussion, including on this program, whether Wyndham Clark was really deserving of being on the team. Well, he ended up vindicating himself on the weekend. He shot 65-65 on Saturday and Sunday to finish E14, ahead of Colin Morikawa by a good stretch, too, who had a disappointing week. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And some of the other names, Victor Hovland, was he even there? Where was he? You didn't see him. I didn't see one shot of his, and I watched a lot of it. Ludwig Oberg, final round 72. This is a guy who, who's young super talent, is going to win a lot of big tournaments and majors, most likely. But on Sundays, he has yet to really show that he can really close it out and have that 65, 64, kind of round that you need to put yourself in the conversation on Sundays. And he had a 72 on Sunday.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's going to be, can't wait to see the Los Angeles Olympics,
Right. Hopefully, and we got the women's Olympics going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
You got-
course.
and that's a really tight property too, Riviera. It's not like Le Golf National, which was, this huge thing in the French countryside. It's going to be interesting to see how they sort of, set that up, because you're not going to be able to have a lot of large grandstands, I don't think, at Riviera. There's just no room for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So Danielle, the clubs came out. Did you get a round in post baby?
I did. Although it wasn't on a big boy course, if that's what we want to call it. We celebrated Brandon's birthday party, and I threw him a surprise birthday at the park in West Palm Beach. You guys might recall that from the match, but we didn't play on that course either. We played on the par 3. It's called the Lit 9, which is really cool. So we had a big crew out there, and I brought the baby in the stroller, and I played. I actually packed all the clubs in the back, because I couldn't tell B, because I'm surprising him. So I had everything in the trunk and locked the trunk, was like, just get in the front seat and be quiet. But then I tasked him to grabbing all the clubs and my putter, and bringing it to the first tee. And he just brought his stuff. So I didn't have my putter. I didn't have my wedges, but it was fun. Nice to swing the clubs again, roll a couple putts. And I was telling you guys, before we started recording, it's pretty cool. It's underneath the lights, but the closing hole, the 9th, they say no irons, no drivers, anything like that. It's 150 yard putt. And I think there's a camera. I think you scan the thing, and if you put in $5 or $10 or something, you can win $50,000. But just as I think Brandon or our friend Jeremy is getting up to the tee, the lights turn out. And we can blame that on Mr. Matthews.
Lights out on you?
They turned the lights out on us on 9. We had a couple groups in front of us that finished, but we went out in a group of 7 or 8. So we were a little bit slower. Thankfully, we were the last ones out. Nobody was playing behind us. We were the type of group you don't want to get stuck behind, but we had a good time.
Nice. How's the game going, man?
Well, it's been 2 weeks since we were together. A lot has happened since then. I told you I was getting ready to play in that Sadie Hawkins event. With 1 female, 3 guys in the foursome. I made 7 pars and a birdie for the team. Had a pretty good day. Then I had a bunker lesson the next day, and got fixed up in the bunker in 20 minutes by Michael Loper, the head pro over at the 1912 club. And the next day made an eagle from 91 yards on one of our par 5s. It was so cool to hit
Look at you.
hit the 54-degree wedge and see it hit and spin to the right and go right in the hole. It was pretty cool. And I reacted like a 12-year-old kid. You might imagine.
As you should, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then that following Wednesday, we had a big money match with 16 players. $40 a guy, and I won 2 skins, and me and my partner finished T3, and that was in the money. So
wow, look at you, Harry.
But then the next week I returned back to my normal self of playing total ass.
And that's why it's a 4-letter word, right?
Yes, exactly. So
well,
some good, some bad.
If you've been following along,
that'll wrap the show. Nobody else has played golf. It's just Harry and I. Moose has just been hanging.
No, haven't really played too much. Yeah,
talk to us. Take us through it.
You've been following
my mic off.
I've been on a heater, as they say in the golf world, of being fortunate enough to play some incredible golf courses. Started out with Galloway National, which was the first time I had played that course. What a golf course! That is a blast.
Slumming it.
I mean, you have to play the right time of year because the greenheads will kill you. But they weren't bad when we played. There was a lot of wind. Played with Josh and Bruce Lev from Lev Lane Advertising, who are always great sponsors of our outing, and Alex Epstein, who's the guy who makes our merch, our Philly golf hats.
Yes.
Best swag. Had a blast, and then I headed out west, and I will say I had probably the best experience I've ever had on a golf course playing Pebble Beach. On that Monday, it was 64 degrees, partly sunny, just a light little nice breeze, no wind to speak of. I mean, it was hard to pay attention. You have your phone in your pocket, which I usually don't do when I'm playing golf, and it just was incredible. I mean, it lived up to, when something is built up that's so high, you don't expect it to hit those expectations. It blew them out of the water. Like, my next best experience playing golf is far behind that. I'll just say that. It just was incredible.
Was that the par 3 fifth that you made a birdie on that you showed the video?
Yeah.
That's
a lot
pretty cool.
Yeah, and I played. I was like pretty happy with the way I was playing.
Did you react like a
which was fun,
12-year-old
too.
to that birdie?
No, the camera was out, so I had to just be
Right.
cool.
You
Just
know,
quick
he's
little
very
fist
cool.
bump.
Very,
A little.
it happens all the time. He's going to
Yeah.
make birdie 6 more
He's like,
coming
and
in.
another one.
Another birdie, but great caddies. And then it's funny, we played Spyglass, and everyone was like, "Oh, Spyglass, it's so hard, it's so hard." Like after
you
the
have
first
wind?
couple holes, it wasn't very windy. And listen, but like we're used to those tight tree line courses here, right? Like I can get out of any set of woods, like I've been doing it as long as I've been playing golf. A lot of fun. The first 4 or 5 holes are the ones that you could hear the seals, out in the distance, but you couldn't see them because that marine layer was sitting out there. It stayed kind of cloudy all day, but the weather was great. And honestly, the hay Tiger Shore course was about as much fun as I've had playing golf. Played with a bunch of the guys from DC. There was like 9 of us, nine-some. We all put up some money.
I don't want to get stuck behind that group either.
we were late too. There was not really many, and we were letting people go around us. But I mean, it's this small little, I think the longest hole was 107, but the most impeccable like bunkers and greens and just perfect little golf course. I actually went out. I played it the morning before I flew out. I went out by myself. It was like drizzling. I went out at 7 a.m. just to play it again because that's how much fun I had.
Take it all in, yeah. Did
So
you do
much
that
fun.
loop, that drive around like Pebble Spy?
7-mile drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the shuttle that would take us from, because we stayed at the inn at Spanish Bay. Next time I want to play Spanish Bay because it's right on the water. It's a true links golf course.
Yeah.
I mean, the accommodations, it was an iHeart client trip, and they did it right. It was a blast. It really was. And then
now hold on for first.
Yeah.
How much did you drop in the pro shop at Pebble Beach?
Rebecca, stop listening.
Total pro shop, I think around 1,500 total.
At Pebble or the whole 2 weeks?
There's a lot of merch shops. Like Pebble, there's like 6 shops.
But wait, 1,500 total
Beach.
Or 1,500?
Total.
That's not too
bad.
He's not telling the truth. I know Moose and his shopping and his.
Well, I mean, I wasn't buying anything
likes.
crazy. I mean, the most expensive thing I brought was probably a 3-wood cover. Everything else was, hoodies, hats,
couple
shirts,
hats, pullovers.
Yeah, got the girls.
No cashmere sweaters.
I've got young daughters. I had to get some crop tops. You know what I mean? I had to do all that stuff, but yeah, but it wasn't bad. I mean, I took a full suitcase that was only 3/4 of the way full just for that reason.
Right.
It was pretty stuffed.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely loaded up on some hats.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely loaded up on some hats.
Speaking of hats, that Philly golf hat, I posted it on my story when you guys so kindly sent us an amazing swing it and ding it blanket for Vienna, and I got the new fresh Philly hats. I had no less than 15 people like, where can I get that hat? And I'm like, where's this link?
It'll be up soon. Well, the merch store is coming. We're building it out, and you'll be able to get these
this
sure.
release, people were like losing it. They're like, hey, that's a sweet hat. And I'm like, everybody wants to be affiliated.
Right.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, then you went to some hoity-toity spots in Jersey, right?
Yeah, Trump Colts Neck for the Eat Clean Bro outing, which was wild. It was like our outing, like crazy. They have a really cool Eat Clean Bro. It's a food, packaged food company.
I saw them on
their outing. Yeah. But they have a 19th hole there. That's awesome. It's like a little island green that sits right in front of the clubhouse. It's about 100 yards. That we played as part of the outing. Just a lot of fun. Great, true Donald Trump, links golf course. And then the favorite round of that I play usually once a year, sometimes not exactly once a year, but Due Process. Due Process is you can't even describe the place. I mean, it's the greatest clubhouse, the greatest. I mean, the golf course there's nothing else like it that I play. It is spectacular. The membership there, everything about it. My buddy Andrew Girardi, who's a member, got me out. We took some clients out there, but you can't even describe it to people what that place is. It's just such a special place, and the golf course is just immaculate. The holes are so interesting, challenging for sure. A lot of water, a lot of sand, but just in the most perfect shape and just the greatest clubhouse scene you'll ever see in the game of golf.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And
now I'm tired. I'm tired.
I was going to say, you're going to give Jimmy James a run for his money here. You're going to have to write a book soon.
Yeah.
Anything lined up for this weekend?
No.
Not yet.
Nope. Heading down to AC. We have a concert. We have Shine down at Ocean, so gonna stay down there on Saturday for Alt 104.5 and Q102 combination concert at Ocean Casino. So
Shine.
no golf.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, they got some new hits right now. So yeah, but that's it. That's it for now. But I will. I wish I was playing today. That's the crazy part. Right? You think you'd be like, exhausted. Like I wish I'm sad I'm not playing today.
Yeah.
But we talked about Philly cricket. It's
cool
May,
that?
right? That's awesome.
May 8th through the 11th.
Yep, early
the week before
season.
the PGA.
Yeah, cannot wait. The Truist Championship, I think it's called.
Yes,
that's correct. Yep.
Formerly the Wells Fargo.
I butchered that. I was trying to say it's a major PGA Tour event, and I'm like, poor choice of words. I'm like, this is major, but I was like, wait, it's not.
I wonder how
major.
I wonder if they how long they knew. Like that's something that usually prepare for a couple of years. I mean, I wonder
you're not
how
just like,
quick
hey,
that popped up. Yeah, unless they knew it and they just announced it. I don't know.
I mean, ever since the PGA was announced at Quail Hollow, they had to be immediately going into where are we taking the tournament. So I mean, this was kept under wraps for quite some time, but pretty cool that we're going to get a big time event with the top 70 players. Will be there. So you get to see Scotty, Rory, Schauffele, and all of them. So
yeah, it's going to be awesome. We'll have to be out there, do some stuff that week for sure.
Well, speaking of top 70 players that we'll see, Jordan Spieth, current ranked 63rd. He needs to be in the top 50 this week to guarantee a spot in signature events.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot on the line this week. Kuchar, same thing, ranked 113th. He's made the playoffs every year since their inception in 2007. He's on the line of probably not making it this year. Lucas Glover, Jason Bale's guy, 76 right now. After finishing 18th last season, he's outside the playoffs, right? Like as of now. So we'll really have to see what's going on this week with that weather. I didn't even know there was impeding weather until Brad said that, but.
Oh yeah. The remnants for sure. Yeah. The Wyndham Championship, last regular season event. Next week you have the St. Jude's FedEx playoffs. You have Sanjay, Lowry, Spieth, some big names. Sanjay is way up top.
Favorite.
He's the favorite, but it's still a decent number at 1,200. But then it jumps to 2,200 for Siwoo.
Who's won there before?
Yeah.
Siwoo so loves that place.
But we have to talk about. We talked about.
Every time Siwoo, I just say shaking that. It lives rent free in my head.
Yes.
But we did talk about golf travels and we talked about the Open and Paris, and we have to talk about our official golf travel partners, All Access GTE. There is a link in our Instagram bio for a special portal to unlock golf experiences you've always dreamed of. Do not try to do a golf trip on your own. Whether you're doing it with your club, your friends, couples, whatever it is, these guys have decades of experience. They know how to do it right. It will be the best golf experience you ever had. So check out the guys at All Access. Head to our Instagram bio and click on that link. And Harry, Brad Faxon teed you up for the course. Of course, it's an Uncle Don favorite.
Yeah.
Talk to us about
Donald Ross, 1926 Sedgefield Country Club. It underwent a restoration by Chris Spence in 2007. To bring it back to, more like the original Donald Ross layout. You get the Tudor style clubhouse and the big water tower that are, you're going to see that a lot this week. It's very iconic clubhouse. And the green complexes are just vintage Donald Ross, Bermuda grass everywhere on the fairways, the greens, and the rough. The closing holes is what we talk about because that's where the drama is, and that's what we're about. 15th hole's the final par 5, 545 yards, a downhill tee shot with the creek down the left and large bunker to the right, fescue further right. You got to keep it in the fairway. Then you can easily get to it in 2. But there's a pond all the way down the right side of the second fairway and the green. But a very birdieable hole for these guys. Some will make eagles as well. 16th hole, you start to see the little beach there along that they set up, the Wyndham Beach. Par 3, 175 yards with 2 deep pot bunkers protecting the front of a horseshoe-shaped green. Very, very birdieable hole, though, as far as these holes coming in, because then it gets tougher as you finish. The 17th hole is par 4, 406 with a deep saddled fairway, a really cool-looking hole, and one that I'd really like to play because it runs it through like an old creek bed that Donald Ross filled in. And the approach is to the smallest green on the course. You generally hit from an uneven lie, so I'm used to that, and play to the left center of the green, and the slope will take it right down to a Sunday pin position. The 18th hole is a brute. It's a par 5 for the members, but they make it a par 4, 507 yards, downhill tee shot, pretty forgiving wide fairway. But then you got the uphill approach to a severely sloped and undulated green. Very difficult finishing par 4, tough to birdie, but really cool spot. I used to live in North Carolina, and I went to what was called the Greater Greensboro Open back in the day. But that was when it was at Forest Oaks. You heard Brad mention.
Yeah.
But since they've moved it here, I'd love to get down there and just see this place up close. A very cool spot to finish out the season.
It is cool.
yeah.
I was there last year, that beach you talked about, Harry. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, how can I get over there? Like,
Right.
But I guess they only sell a certain amount of tickets. But
Yeah.
some of the locals were telling me, like, some girls go there looking for husbands wearing bikinis, doing everything else.
High heels.
But it's funny. They actually have like sand poured out, lounge chairs, a bar. Like it's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, if you're hitting the links this weekend, hopefully you're getting a chance to, if the rain clears. The pros are at the Wyndham Championship. Be right there with them. Get in on all the tee to green action at DraftKings Sportsbook. From the first tee shot on Thursday through the final putt on Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like a golfer to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It's that simple. We talked about Sunjay Im at 1,200. Siwoo 2,200, Billy Horschel at 2,200. If you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DING. That's code DING for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. So, how about 8 of the last 12 winners here, according to our buddy Jeff Ulrich, have had a T12 or better at this event. So you have to kind of be in the top at this place to get the win. Brad talked about it. Driving accuracy is super important, not necessarily the distance, but a couple guys that jump out to me. Webb Simpson, he's got a win a million years ago here, but he also has a T5 last year, and it's a big, nice, juicy number at 9,000 for a guy like him to get the win.
He loves that place.
Loves it. Obviously, Sunjay, right? He's playing really good golf right now. Has a T2 in 2022. For a leader at 1,200 in the world to take it. But what's jumping out to you, Harry?
Well, Sunjay, you talk about him. He has 8 top 12s in his last 10 starts.
Hot.
And the other 2 that he didn't go in the top 12 were missed cuts, but he's playing as well as anybody not named Scotty Scheffler or Xander Schauffele. You talk about Siwoo, plus 2,200. He's made 6 straight cuts coming into here. Nothing spectacular, but he has got 4 top 5s, including a win at Sedgefield back in 2016. So it's no wonder they're the top 2 favorites. I'm torn between Siwoo and Cam Davis for my one and done. Cam Davis, of course, won at the Rocket Mortgage, which is another Donald Ross course, just a couple of weeks ago, and finished 7th in this event last year. Plus 4,000 to win. That's kind of a nice number. Plus 185 in a top 20. Aaron Rye, who has been playing some really good golf and consistently good golf over the last couple of months, plus 130 at a T20. And Davis Thompson, who won a couple of weeks ago, plus 140 for a top 20 are some of the things that I like.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And we got to congratulate Brant Snedeker, winner of the Payne Stewart Award, which is a high honor. Talking to Brad Faxon again, but Brant Snedeker is the latest winner.
Beautiful. Beautiful, man. Yeah, we'll see what happens this weekend with the weather. Hopefully they get some golf in North Carolina, but this is a big one, and we will be back next week to preview the playoffs. Thanks again to Brad Faxon for hopping on with us, and everyone else. Try to get out there and swing it and ding it.